Let's talk about cleaning out. So, we've made our exposure and we peel off our clear sheet, and this layer has been modified. The portions where there were no drawings, they've been exposed to the ultraviolet light, and now they are hardened up, so they're not water soluble anymore. The portions that were protected from the ultraviolet light, where our marks were, those, theoretically, to some degree, are just like they came out of the bag. They are still water soluble. So now what we've got to do is very rapidly remove those areas before they get exposed to ambient light and actually hardened. So immediately after you've made your exposure, you've held it up to the perpendicular sunlight, you've counted off 15 seconds, and or whatever on that day in your location has proven from your experiments, the smaller pieces you cut up, to be the optimum exposure. Then you're going to take this and you're going to put it up against your body to protect it from the light, cover it with your hands, and you're going to run into the house and to the nearest bathroom or to the kitchen, and you're going to have your handy used toothbrush, and you're going to take it and peel this off and start running it under the water and begin rubbing it with that toothbrush. Now, you want to rub vigorously enough that you're not, or that you are in fact removing those parts, because literally even as the water's running on them, they're being exposed to light. So again, here, time is of the essence. We've got to get that material out of those lines before it hardens up by exposure to the light. And we want to do it in a firm and vigorous way, and we want to do it in multiple directions. We want to go side to side, we want to go up and down, we want to go diagonally, both directions. We want to go in a circular motion because we want to get every little bit of that out of those lines, because that's where our detail is going to be. We don't want to dig in. I mean, if you're pressing in to the point that you're straining and your toothbrush head is almost down on the surface of the metal, then you're going to eventually abrade away those portions that have actually been hardened. And the areas where you have a lot of cross-hatching are most vulnerable, because those little areas in between the hatch marks where it's hardened, they're like a little island, and you're digging around the edges of them, and eventually the abrasion is going to take them out. So 10, 20 seconds back and forth, this way, that way, round and round. Wash it off, have a towel handy, wipe it off, and you can kind of see, what am I doing here? Is this going too far? Am I making progress? Rapidly, back under the running water, a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more, and you keep doing this until you see your image emerge. And eventually, and we're talking about maybe 2 to 3 minutes of scrubbing and washing. We're not talking, 30 seconds. That's probably not going to happen. We're not talking 3 minutes, or rather 30 minutes. You do that, then, you're scrubbing away detail. So we're talking about 3-4 minutes at the max, and you'll be able to see your image emerge. And when it looks like your image, stop. When you see, okay, I think I've gotten all my marks, then at that point you can stop. Now at this point the light doesn't matter, so you can relax on that, right? In fact, what we're going to do is we're going to take it outside and we're going to sit it in the direct sunlight for about 10 to 15 minutes, because we want to make sure that all those parts that are remaining really are solid and converted before we actually go to print it. So as soon as you see your image, wipe it off, get the excess water off, take it outside, set it in a sunny place, leave it for a minimum of 10 to 15 minutes. You could leave it for 5 days. It's not going to hurt anything at this point. but it's going to be pretty much solidified after about 15 minutes. So don't worry about that timeline. Just make sure that you do in fact leave it out there to cure and to get all those last little pieces converted, and then that will be ready to print. So we'll come back and talk about that in just a moment.